Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be the beta male orbiter who tries to steal your girlfriend. Well, you obviously don't want to do what this guy has been doing. He's probably seen too many movies. So he meets this girl. I guess he's in college. She's in college. And apparently she's kind of long distance from her boyfriend. And she starts telling him how she's not happy. He kind of becomes friends with her. He thinks, oh, I'll just fly under the radar. I'll be the friend. Then when she finally breaks things off, I'll be the guy that she says, oh, you don't have to worry about him. He's just a friend. So anyway, he's spending money on her time. He's being the emotional tampon, doing the opposite of the things that I teach in my book. And then on top of that, he's trying to rip off this other guy's girlfriend. Which, quite frankly, in this day and age, that's just kind of stupid and reckless with your life, because a lot of guys don't appreciate that, especially down here in South Florida where I live. As you guys may have heard me talk about the Hialeah divorces that are pretty much on the news just about every night, murder, suicide, that type of thing. And it's usually somebody's cheating and the guy finds out, and then he basically takes out the guy that's cheating on his wife. He takes out his wife for his girlfriend, and then oftentimes takes out himself, sometimes successfully, sometimes not so successfully. But again, anybody that lives in South Florida and you turn the news on, it seems like every time one of these things happens, it's always Hialeah. A lot of Latinos down there, and they tend to be just a lot of hot-headed people live in that city for whatever reason. And guys like this, or the guys that you read about in the news that think they're sly and they're going to slide in there. And it's just, you never want to mow another guy's lawn, especially like the way this guy's going about it. It's just really slimy, really underhanded. If she cheats on him with you, she'll eventually do the same thing with you when she's not happy. And so I'm surprised that this guy does this and then writes in thinking I'm going to be really supportive of his approach. So, but it is a good email to learn from, because you're getting the perspective of the orbiter, the friend. Oh, you don't have to worry about him. And then you can kind of see the mindset and the way these guys think, the way they behave, the way they operate. And so you can kind of get a perspective if you're ever dating somebody or in a relationship with somebody, and she starts talking to a guy like this that she works with, or like in this case, they met in school. But usually, in most cases, it's a neighbor or a coworker or somebody like that, or a friend of a friend. Oh, he's just a friend. You don't have to worry about him. I don't like that guy anyways, or I would never date that guy, that kind of thing. And then as soon as things go sideways, then you find out that's who she ends up with. So, let's go through his email. He says, "Hi, Coach. My name is Bob, and I am a recent follower of your work. Character's destiny. And before I even get started, what you're doing is just not okay. It's wrong. You shouldn't do things like this, because it's bad karma, bad juju. You're inviting the universe to send all kinds of negative, unpleasant things your way. And at the end of the day, say you are successful at stealing this guy's girl. All it's going to teach you is that, and then, so you're validating her low character behavior. She gets in a relationship with you, and at some point you're going to slip up the same way the ex has slipped up. And this is how she operates. And you just validated her life choice because there was no consequences. If you had a high integrity, high trust society, most of the time when a woman wanted to behave this way, the guy would say, hey, I'm flattered. I think you're beautiful. You're charming. If you were single and things were different, we could go out on a date, but you have a boyfriend, and so you need to focus on your relationship. If you don't want to be with him, you need to make that determination with him. And if you're ever single, reach out to me, and if I'm not taken by then, we could go out on a date. You should never be the other guy, because all you're doing is you're teaching these kinds of women that there's plenty of dudes in society that, in essence, say that this is okay. They'll put up with it. It's just a bad way to go, because you're opening yourself to you're basically saying to the universe, I'm okay with being a low character person, and inviting other low character people into my life. You attract how you act. So if you do dirty, underhanded things like this guy is trying to do, well, the karma typically comes in ways you don't expect. Maybe you get cheated on, your girl cheats on you with just a friend, the guy she told you that you don't have to worry about. Or maybe you go into business with somebody and he rips you off, or he steals money from you, or you lend money to somebody, or you tell somebody something in confidence and they betray you. It's like it always tends to come back tenfold. It's just a bad way to go. You shouldn't go through life like this. So he says, I'm writing about a girl who I met earlier this year. We are both international students studying abroad, and we are both originally from Seattle. Well, those of you guys that pay attention to the news, Seattle's got all kinds of problems because all the leftists are basically running it. I have family that lives there, and it's a fucking shithole. It's becoming a shithole in many areas. It's like anything that the Democrats and the liberals tend to run. It's like they run it to the ground. And when you point out all the crime and everything else, they basically want you just to ignore that and pretend it's not happening. Or they tell you that there's nothing they can do about it. Like, one of my family members, they're like the swale that's in between the sidewalk and the street is technically public property, even though you got to maintain it and you got to mow the lawn. If your lawn gets too high, the city comes out and finds you. But you technically don't own that, but yet you're responsible for it. And if a homeless person decides to pitch a tent in the swale in your front yard and do drugs and have sex in your front lawn, there's pretty much nothing you can do about it. You can call the police, but the police are like, well, it's public property. Nothing we can do about it. Shouldn't keep voting for these same people, but yet the people keep voting for that shit. And hey, whatever. If that's how you want to live, then you do you, boo-boo. But so you have what's developing into a low trust society in that area, all kinds of criminality, it's like becoming like San Francisco in some areas. I personally wouldn't want to live like that or wouldn't want to put up with that. I'd say San Francisco is probably the one that most of us are familiar with, and what an absolute shit show that place has come to be. And all the politicians who keep getting reelected just go, oh, well, there's nothing we can do about it, despite the fact that that's not happening in most of the other places of the country. It only seems to be happening where Democrats are running things because they're incompetent and they can't acknowledge reality, because acknowledging reality would then have to be admitting that their ideology doesn't work. Their way of governing doesn't work. And we just had an election that America's favorite president, Donald Trump, just won by a pretty big margin, despite all the what looks like obvious cheating that's been going on. They're still counting votes in areas and flipping seats a month after the election has happened. So it's pretty crazy that shit just happens. Wherever there's no voter ID is where the Democrats tend to be in total control. That should tell you everything you need to know. So in other words, there's just a lot of low character people there that have congregated. Like attracts like. People that like the same things tend to like each other. That's the problem, is these people move to this area and they're all like-minded, and they're not going to admit that their ideology and their way of thinking and being and governing doesn't work, and so they just ignore things. They pretend like it's not happening. Or they say that you're racist when you point it out, or call you any other names. But most people, if they had a choice, wouldn't want to live with somebody living in the front swale of their fucking front lawn, having sex in their front yard in front of their kids, or doing drugs and leaving their needles everywhere. And the police are like, well, there's nothing you can do about it. If you pack their shit up or you throw it all away, the police will come arrest you. You literally can't do anything. You just have to basically sit back and watch these people take over your front lawn. It's fucking nuts. But I digress. Because, again, what the reason why I go into diatribe is like, this is a character issue. And so this guy's living in an area where basically being a person of low character is totally okay. When we first met in May, she was having problems with her boyfriend from back home, who she's been dating for several years, and she admitted that she hadn't thought about him since she left. So we thought, oh, I got a chance. I can slide in there. And said that she felt like she was single and was dreading to meet with his family again. Well, the obvious question would be, well, why don't you just break things off and end it with him if you're not happy? Oh, well, yeah. So he just thought, oh, I got a chance. I can work with this. I got a live one, coach. I took it as a sign of her relationship coming to an end and started to get closer to her. So slimy. I would have been like, well, you're a great girl, and I like hanging out with you, and we obviously get along quite well. If it doesn't work out, you got my number. Hit me up. I'd love to take you out on a date, but I'm not going to get involved as long as you're still with that guy. And if I'm still single, we could go out on a date, see what happens. Over July and August, we spent every day together and had several sunset dinners and hangouts. So you're basically going out on dates, like the gay male girlfriend, because I don't think she gave anything up to him. Hangouts late into the night, and everyone around us thought we were dating. Well, you obviously thought you were dating. She made comments on how she couldn't believe I was single and would say good things about me to her parents as a joke. Her parents didn't know she had a boyfriend due to her uncertainty and their strict parenting style. So lying has become a way of life because of the way the parents are, and it's pretty clear that the parents don't know their daughter. They bought the image of who the daughter presented. So this young woman has grown up in an environment where lying and dishonesty are just the way to survive in the world. So it's totally normal to her to behave the way she's behaving, which is to have no integrity at all. And this guy's only thinking with his emotions and his feelings instead of looking at the situation objectively going, yeah, I don't really want to encourage this chick to be a hoe. But he doesn't care. This is why, again, if you're in a relationship or you're married, your girlfriend, your wife should not be hanging out with dudes like this. And this is what, and girls go, oh, you're insecure. I would never do anything. This guy clearly knows she has a boyfriend, and he doesn't fucking care. He's thinking, if I spend enough time with her, I'm going to get my shot. So every time he hangs out with her, he's thinking, I'm going to be sticking my dick in her. That's what he's thinking. That's what he's hoping is going to happen. So if you're ever dating a girl and she wants you to buy that this kind of behavior is okay, a lady, a family-oriented woman who's loyal and faithful, that was raised right by a good dad, she's not going to behave this way. She's just not. An OnlyFans girl or a chick from a broken family, or like in this case, parents were very strict, ordered her around, and she just learned to lie to survive. So the parents have no idea what their daughter's doing. They don't know her. And as she gets older and grows up, she probably won't have much interaction with her family. If she has kids, she probably won't even want to be around her parents. Probably won't want her parents to be very involved grandparents. It's a lot of kids grow up and they hate their mom and dad, and once they're adults, they almost never spend any time with them. And this is why. So she pretty much, even though her parents are together, she kind of comes from a broken home. She initiated 90% of our hangouts and would text me trivial things, funny videos every day during that period. Any self-respecting man that has choice with women is just simply not going to do this. A guy who's got a scarcity mindset, who's seen too many fucking movies, is going to think, well, this is the one for me, because this is what the movies teach him. And he's emotionally anchored and conditioned to believe that that's reality. But what he's starting to do is come up against reality and notice that it doesn't match what's actually in the movies. Movies are actually make-believe, because it's usually the dorks that couldn't get laid that are writing the same scripts where they always get the girl in the movies, but in real life, you get blue balls. Or, in worst case scenario, you get a highly divorce. In addition, when we hung out, she would constantly turn her body and her legs towards me. She would touch and fiddle with her neck and necklace and play with her hair. Well, she's clearly attracted, but that doesn't really matter because she has a boyfriend and you're encouraging her to lie and to cheat. But we already know she's a liar because she lies to her parents and she probably lies to her boyfriend. And you're enabling and encouraging her continued lying and cheating and dishonesty. Just like the people that live in Seattle, they won't fucking do anything about it. It makes for lively discussions during the holidays. And these family members of mine that live out in Seattle, they're riding with Biden. They're Kamala supporters. And they're in mourning. They're just beside themselves that, the orange man won again. And one of them is she's far left and her husband is a conservative. It's like, bro, how do you deal with this? He's like, I just keep my mouth shut, man. So he doesn't talk about anything because the people that are around him would all freak out, start calling him names. He's like, it's just better just to, I'm not into politics. That's his solution. Just not even talk about it at all. Because he'll get shit from his wife and he'll get shit from their friends and other family members that are in the area because he's like the only conservative. It's kind of funny, but sad and pathetic at the same time. Unfortunately, things changed in late August as she went back home for the semester break. It's like, duh. I say it all the time. It's not how you should operate, but he's doing it anyway. But he did say he was new. But if he's been through the book a few times, he's thinking, I'm going to steal this girl. It's just dumb. For the first week of the break, she still texted me daily and showed concern about my ill family member. Oh, she really cares big time. She cares until the boyfriend stimulates her emotions, then she doesn't need you anymore. So this guy is delusional. He's projecting his fantasy onto her and completely ignoring reality that he's encouraging low character, low integrity behavior. But then again, the majority of the people in Seattle, I mean, they're, as Roger Simon said many years ago, so apropos, he said modern liberalism is based upon lying, and it begins with lying to the self. That's why they can't fix anything, because then that would mean that their ideology doesn't work, that their Marxist ideology doesn't work, which it never has, and it never will, but they'll still keep believing in the hope and change nonsense. Then suddenly, the texting stopped, and she went 4 days without replying. We met up upon her return, and I learned that the guy back home made drastic compromises and promises to her. He promised to build her a house, well, that was nice, after she returns from her studies in a year and a half, and now they are back on good terms. Again, this is why you don't get involved. He's wasted, I don't know how many months, 4 or 5 months being hung up on this girl, and probably a few $1,000s and expensive dinners and late nights and whatever else he's done with her. And what has he got? He's jerking off at home by himself. Well, she goes back home and fucks her boyfriend. Ever since then, she hasn't initiated any hangouts and has acted distant. She still displays the same body language on the rare occasions we are one-on-one with each other, but in comparison to before, her behaviors are much colder. From knowing your work, I acted indifferent to her pulling away. I matched and mirrored her actions and didn't chase after her. My inaction made her reach out a few weeks ago asking if everything was okay, and I replied yes and asked if she wanted to catch up over dinner. So again, he's still trying his same slimy approach. Instead of just being a man of honor and integrity and just saying, well, you're back together with your boyfriend, so hey, if it doesn't work out, get in touch, we can go on a date. But you really should focus on your relationship. I enjoyed getting to know you and all the time we spent together, but since you're working on your relationship, you need to focus on that, and it's just inappropriate for you and I to continue with anything. And besides, I'm not looking for just friendship only anyway. To which she indirectly declined. I have since purchased your book, and I read it 5 times, and I'll aim to get to 10. I picked up a few new hobbies and started seeing other people. I admit it has been difficult to move on, since I still see her multiple times a week due to our course schedule. And I don't plan on reaching out or chasing her unless she breaks things off with a guy cleanly and started showing interest again. Well, next time you hear from her, you should just let her know that, hey, I like you and I really enjoy getting to know you, but now that you're working things out with your boyfriend, it's inappropriate for you and I to continue talking or hanging out. You should be loyal and faithful to your boyfriend. And if it doesn't work out, I would love to hear from you. And if I'm still single, we could go out on a date and see what happens. But until then, it's best that you focus on your boyfriend and your relationship. And I want to focus on finding a girl that's single and loyal and faithful and wouldn't do what you're doing, basically. Not that he'll have the guts to say that to her, but that's the right thing to do. Because as a man, you should be setting the standard in your society and whatever is going on in your kingdom. Not encouraging dishonesty, but then again, that's it's like mass psychosis going on in Seattle. They're still just not going to acknowledge that shit's fucked up, and they'll just blame other people or blame, it's like what goes on in Chicago. They go, oh, it's the other cities where guns are easy to buy. That's why Chicago's got all this gun violence. Like, no, you won't lock up the gang members because your criminal justice reform nonsense. So they continue to mow each other down every weekend. You got 5 or 6 of them shooting 5 or 6 other rival gang members. They kill or wound 1 or 2 or 3. And then the very next week, you got the revenge attacks. And then the week after that, other revenge attacks. It's just every weekend. But the people running Chicago, oh, it's not our fault. It's all these other cities around the country that don't have the problems that they have, but it's their fault because they allow people to have guns. Again, because to acknowledge the problem is theirs, then that would mean that their ideology doesn't work. And part of their ideology is only the government should have guns, and the government should be everybody's mommy and tell you what you can and can't do. It's basically a bunch of Karens that don't want responsibility for their own lives, and they want to control and run and regulate everybody else's lives and point the finger and tell them how to live. My question to you is, am I doing the right thing by pulling away? Will this push her away even further? Bro, she has a girlfriend. How about you pull your head out of your ass? And is there a chance that she will come back? If it goes sideways with the other guy, she'll definitely be in touch with you. But why would you want to even date a girl like this? If she's willing to cheat on him, she'll cheat on you. That's a fact of life. You're clearly young, and you're inexperienced, and you're naive as hell, and you've seen way too many fucking movies. And I don't teach this stuff so you can be a low-character shitbag and try to steal somebody else's girl. Down here in South Florida, where the Florida man tends to run amok, they'll put a bullet in your ass. They don't fuck around down here, man. People they frown on that. I mean, it happened to one of my brother's friends when he was in college, and he wasn't screwing around with a girl that had a boyfriend. He just happened to start hanging out with the cute hostess from work. He didn't know she had a crazy ex that was kind of stalking her. She never mentioned anything. And then one evening, she invites him over to her place. He goes back with her to her place. And the boyfriend is, I guess, hanging out in the bushes or whatever. He shows up with a gun, shoots my brother's friend in the head, kills him on the spot. And then he says to her, look, see what you made me do? And then he turns the gun on himself, shoots himself. He dies in front of her. And it's like, and my brother's friend, he had no idea. But a guy like this, he's blatantly doing it. He's blatantly, in other words, daring this other guy to find out about him and do something about it, in essence. It's no piece of ass is worth your life. It's just not. Because, again, if she's going to cheat on you, she'll cheat on him. It's simple as that. If she cheats on him, she'll cheat on you. Like attracts like. This woman is a habitual and serial liar and has no integrity. This is what her parents did by being overly controlling and manipulative and punitive. And the kids just learn to lie and hide everything from their parents. And I would venture to guess that she's not close to her parents at all, and her parents have no idea who their daughter really is or what she's really like. They have kind of a phony, fake relationship. And she probably doesn't even like her parents, for that matter. Because, again, if she's that dishonest, then that tells me on some level probably her parents are dishonest as well. So why would you want to get involved with somebody like that? Again, the right thing to do is to just not be involved. Even if she reaches out in the future and wants to chit-chat, just say, are you still with your boyfriend? And she's like, oh, yeah. Then just say, well, you need to focus on your relationship with your boyfriend. I like you. I enjoyed our time together, getting to know each other. But now that you're really focused on your relationship, you need to be loyal and faithful to your boyfriend. And I want to find a girl that's single and ready to mingle. If it doesn't work out, I would love to hear from you, and if I'm still available at that point, then we can go out on a date. But until then, as long as you're in a relationship with your boyfriend, it's just not appropriate for you to continue contacting me. And so I ask that you respect my wishes, because that's the right thing to do. That's the honorable thing to do. You should be a good girlfriend to your boyfriend and give 100% to your relationship. I'm not going to be your side piece. I'm not going to be your emotional tampon. It's not appropriate. That's what you should do. But the question is, will he? Most guys like this probably doesn't give a shit. He'll probably just do it anyways. But that is on you. So if you got a question or challenge and you want to get my help, go to understandingrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen on any page of my website, and book a coaching session with yours truly. If you haven't already signed up for our paying members only content in the video description of this video, there are links to where you could join on YouTube, you could join on Spotify, or you can join on our website. So wherever you subscribe is where you're going to consume the content. If you subscribe on the website, obviously it's not going to give you access to YouTube or Spotify, and vice versa. If you subscribe on Spotify, Spotify doesn't give you access to YouTube. So wherever you want to consume our members only content is where you're going to subscribe. And so at least on the website, we'll give you a 7-day free trial. You can do a monthly plan or an annual plan. So you get 7 days to check out what content you get for your money. There's hundreds and hundreds of videos on there now that are members-only videos that only paying members have access to. And so on a weekly basis, you'll get 5 additional paid video coaching newsletters similar to this one per week that only the paying members have access to. Our weekly 3% Man Study Group podcast and our weekly Mastering Yourself Study Group podcast, where we basically go page by page in the books and discuss the concepts with myself and the girls and Chunky. So it's like a weekly ongoing class, online class that I hold. We take viewer questions when people submit them on specific passages of the book, and it's like we just finished going through the book the first time, and we just started filming again yesterday, first couple episodes of the second time we're going through the book. And so the goal is we're just going to keep going through it. It's like a new class every semester on the book, and it's always in session, plus you got all the previous episodes. And so again, on my website, you can do a 7-day free trial and check out the content. If you sign up for an annual plan, you'll get a 25% discount for paying the whole year up front. So do it now, understandingrelationships.com. Just click the plans tab when you get there and do a 7-day free trial so you can check out our paying members only content. So until next time, I will talk to you soon.